And this is the Tony Gilroy Memorial Address. Tony, who addressed the school 2 years ago, was Community Welfare Officer in Terranure, one of the great heroes of the whole social welfare system. His two political heroes were John Hume in the north and the late Frank Klusky. Tony would have been delighted to be here to welcome Joan, because Tony was trying to subvert me and become the new director of the Humbert Summer School. For that he had to pay a price. But we really, we were all taken aback with the suddenness of Tony's illness. And we're delighted tonight to have Jan, his sister, and Paul, his brother. And although there is no budget for this Humbert School, switch it up. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you anyway.
That's better. I can't remember what I said.
Well, just repeat.
No budget. You're just saying it was no budget.
We're just getting to the important bit. And although we have no budget this year, a few of us chipped in to have a scholarship in honour of Tony, and Anne-Marie Minogue, who's Kylie Minogue in my book, is here as the first Gilroy Scholarship babe. Recipient. Anyway, look, the main political thing tonight is after austerity. We're delighted to have Minister Joan Burton back. She first came to the Humbert School in 1995 from the Department of Foreign Affairs at that time on New Vista for Women. She was at the Castle Bar School 2 years ago as a spokesperson of finance for the Labour Party, and is now here as Minister for Social Protection in the third coming. And we look forward to the broadening of this vista for women to all the socially deprived, because her budget is central to maintaining the welfare system in the spirit of Frank Klusky and Tony Gilroy and many others. Many people are dependent on it, and I think it's an indicator of the times that in recent polls, Joan Burton registered 47% popularity and is the highest in a government which will shortly be facing mid-term elections at local and European level, and that will be a real test of government and austerity. But tonight we're looking at after austerity, Joan Burton, Minister for Social Protection.
John, there.
There you go.
Oh, no.
No, you've got the thing.
I'm not sure this is what
It's not loaded.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you can hear me. It's really delightful to be back at the Humbert School. I think it was the first summer school I was ever invited to. So when John asked me to be here at the reopening of the school and the return of the school, I was delighted to accept. Just let me say as well, being here in the context of remembering the work of somebody like Tony Gilroy, again, that's an enormous honour, and I'm delighted to have had a chance earlier to have met his brother Paul and his sister Jan, and also to have met Kylie as well. So it's been, as John said. Ms. Minogue. Just let me say as well that in relation to the work of somebody like Tony, community welfare officers have played a hugely important role in the fabric of Irish society for people in different circumstances, difficult times during their lives. And it really is an honour to be here at an event named in his memory. I think this week as well, our news has been dominated by three giants: Larkin, Martin Luther King, and sadly and most recently, Seamus Heaney. And it was Newton who said that we see further ahead when we stand on the shoulders of giants. And each of these people, in different ways, brought a lot of inspiration and humanity to what they spoke about and what they fought for in terms of the human condition and the improvement of our societies, which I think we always have to remember are societies first and economies second. So just let me say, in relation to good news this week, the CSO confirmation that the numbers at work have increased year on year by 33,000 is an indication of recent progress. And it's another welcome indicator that Ireland can, we hope, say a confident farewell to the Troika fairly soon. Now there won't be any dramatic moment when the Troika flag is, if you like, is rolled down, it's hauled down to be replaced by the tricolour, but there will be a significant restoration and restatement of our economic sovereignty. Now that will not be a licence, and just let me make this clear, to return to the bad old days of reckless overspending. Money markets still dictate very definite limits to our capacity to borrow at manageable interest rates, while the new so-called two-pack and six-pack of EU economic rules, which were approved by the people in last year's referendum, will impose quite strict limits on future budgets, not least the one to be announced on October the 15th. So we are getting closer to the end goal. Economic growth has returned, and the indications on this week's growth in employment indicates that over time it's going to pick up pace. Unemployment is falling, and a range of measures have been introduced to address the really challenging mortgage and debt problems which so many families have. So I think this is a good time to look forward, to consider the type of country we want post-recovery. To me, there's one straightforward policy objective from which a better economy and society will emerge. And that is full employment, which I believe has to be the overreaching goal of economic policy. Full employment will be how we leave austerity in the distant past. It's how we increase tax revenue, build a viable social insurance system, reduce welfare expenditure, and create room for new investments in services. It's how we create a more productive economy and a more caring society. So tonight I want to talk about the importance of that target of full employment and how my own department is doing everything it can to bring it about. Over recent years, cost-saving measures in the social welfare budget have cumulatively reduced welfare expenditure in this country by more than 3 billion. The department so has played a huge part in the deficit reduction effort, and it will continue to do so. But as I've said before, we must ensure that we do not cut too far and too deeply. This is because of the crucial importance of welfare expenditure, both in terms of preventing poverty and acting as an economic stabiliser. And research shows that social transfers, that social welfare type expenditures in Ireland, reduce the at-risk of poverty level in this country by more than 60%. That is the most effective performance in the European Union. So in other words, if we didn't have these social welfare transfers at the strong levels that they're at and have been built up, we would in fact have far more people who would end up living, not just being at risk of poverty, but actually being in consistent poverty. So it is a great achievement of successive governments in Ireland that we have seen as a society that reducing poverty and risks of poverty through social transfers as an important social goal that should be maintained.